You send me LND6, I'm sending you to the door, and I'm not even gonna talk about your unit because you have no idea what you're doing if you're gonna double LND here, okay? Like, what do you think you're doing with double LND? I do not want to see the 6 defense Raven in like 9 resistance or something, okay? Don't do LND6. Don't do it. They're basically all pretty good. I'm pretty like happy with most of them actually. I'm happy with all of them. So basically we have Martz over here, and this actually fits with his like his game, like his style. If you don't already know, Marth was actually never very good of a combat unit in his game, and he kind of like the guy that kind of like supports his army, good guy Marth, kind of like sacrificing himself for the greater good. So it makes sense. It's kind of like full immersion on Marth, and by him having this kind of refinement, it kind of just proves that, and he becomes like a super good support unit, kind of like Brave Lucina, but like on a sword slot. But one difference between him and Brave Lucina is Marth actually becomes a pretty decent healer because of the upgrade to Falchion, and if you give him Reciprocal Aid or Ardent Sacrifice with Renewal 3 in the B slot, he's going to be able to heal, and he's able to buff up units really well. So I think it's going to fit his playstyle pretty well. Unfortunately, he's not like the offensive unit that some people wanted, but he never really was, okay? He never really was known for that in his game. So unfortunately, that's what it is. I'm sorry if that's what you expected, but honestly, it is what it is. And, you know, I think he's still pretty strong. When it comes to IVs, at this point, I think anything can work with him. You probably don't want to minus HP Marth if you're going to use him for healing, though. I don't think that's a good one. In fact, minus attack, like I have a plus defense minus attack Marth. I think that one's actually pretty good now. You can keep all his defensive stats, you can keep his health high, he can heal people pretty well, especially if you have Reciprocal Aid. He can be a super strong buff bot. You can give him double drives as well. So you can give him like the new drive defense seal. You can give him drive speed from tail 2 in his C slot, and he's going to buff up units like nuts. So I definitely think this is a solid refinement, and I wouldn't tell you guys to be upset about it. Definitely don't be upset about it. So yeah, keep your hopes up. He's going to be pretty strong about that. This one is crazy. For those of you that don't know, again, they've kind of gone with the whole immersion route. A lot of us predict this already, kind of where Alm is his weapon in his game had, like, one of his weapons, not the falchion, but his actual royal sword, I believe, actually had an ability where he learned where he could double like a brave sword, and this was actually unique to him. There was no other, except I think maybe bows had it. Like Killer Bow, I think, had like a brave effect. But yeah, so this is kind of unique to Alm from his game, and it even has like the full immersion where it costs HP, right? Just like Ragnarok for Celica. So it's really like a good dynamic between Celica and Alm, and I really like that. I really think it's fitting. Alm is a cool character. He definitely deserved this kind of love, and now you can run like a wind sweep, phantom speed seal on him, and his falchion, you can just like double stuff, and it's amazingly powerful. Like, no one has a brave weapon this strong. Like, if you think about Alincia, yeah, she kind of has a weaker one. There's a speed penalty, but she can use it all the time. The thing with Alm, though, is he needs to be at full health, which isn't too hard to do, especially with Renewal 3, if you want to use that on the B slot, but you don't probably even have to. You could if you want to make sure that he uses his falchion effect more often. But honestly, this is like, I think, hands down, probably the best refinement to come out of all these units. This is just my opinion, though. Don't think of it as some sort of objective evidence, okay? I don't think it's objective evidence. In my opinion, I think this is probably the most powerful. It came at the perfect time with all these like dragons becoming refined and super strong, and Alm, I think, can go kill like a plus 10 Naui now, unless she has close defense seal or she has plus defense IVs. I believe that's what the math behind that was, from what I saw on a bunch of Reddit threads and some research I did. So yeah, this is an amazing refinement. If you don't have an Alm, definitely invest in an Alm, and he will probably not disappoint you at all now. So yeah, my divine dues, I've only refined 3 weapons so far, and I'm glad I saved my dues. I told you guys to save dues a long time ago, and this is what I was expecting. This is the kind of hype I was expecting, and I'm definitely not disappointed in my decision to save my dues. So I ended up refining Crom, as you can see on my screen here. This is my boy Crom. He started at 40, level 45 start today, and he's going to be 40 plus 6. This is what he was. This is what he's become as of the end of today. I'm going to aim to get him to 40 plus 10, hopefully within maybe a month or two. It just depends on when I pull more croms. Hopefully I can pull 2 more croms. That's all I need to do to bring him to plus 10. And the other one was Om, because Om is sick, and I'm glad he's finally quite usable. So continuing on, we have Marth here, Mass Marth. I'm going to be refining this on my free-to-play account. I don't have any other units to really use my Divine Dew on, so that makes sense. Now, my opinion on this is Mass Marth. I know people are going to disagree here, but again, it's my opinion, and there is some objective evidence going here. My opinion is backed up a little bit. If you look at my Crom here, no one without a doubt is going to disagree that Crom has the highest attack and the highest defense of all Falchion users, and this is objective. You cannot say the other ones are tankier than Crom, okay? With Crom's Falchion Refinement, and you know, with ally support, of course, summoner support, just consider the Falchion Refinement. If you give him Steady Breath, which you probably should be running because that's his role, he's a really good enemy phase unit, he reaches over 40 defense, could reach even up to 50 if you give him proper support. Maybe you give him fortified defense, you give him dry defense and such. He will kill blue physical units. Hands down, he will kill blue physical units. And that is the difference between him and Mass Marth and Lucina, unfortunately. They do not have that sort of defensive prowess that Crom does, and that's why I think this refinement is definitely helping him out much more to break the weapon triangle, where Lucina and Mass Marth aren't going to be able to do that as effectively. Now, there is something to be said about the fact that his resistance is total junk, and that's unfortunate, and his speed is still kind of low, so he may get doubled, but honestly speaking, his speed is probably just going to be high enough to avoid doubles but not double back, and that's okay because you should be running quick riposte on him anyways. So the difference is Lucina and Mass Marth can afford to not run quick riposte and will just have super high speed anyways, and that is their advantage. But again, they don't have as high attack, they don't have as high defense, so if you're baiting out physical units, Crom does it better with quick riposte, steady breath, in this case with Ignis. Like, there's just more damage than what Lucina and Mass Marth can do. That's just how it comes down to. I know that's going to disappoint some people because they probably like Lucina and Mass Marth more than Crom, but sorry guys, I mean, he just is the better wall than those two. On player phase though, if you can get some decent setups, and this is where I don't like it, because if you've used Owl Tomes before, Owl Tomes, then this is the same effect of what basically this is, granting +4 everything. You don't want to put a unit in front, you don't want to player phase, you don't want to like put them in the front just to get your unit up there just to be affected by that bond, okay? Like that's not practical. You're wasting a unit's turn to bring them up front like that. It can work, but it's really like inconsistent. I've tried it before, and with my Mei, she runs Owl Tomes. My Robin also runs Owl Tomes. It's always better to position in a phase where they come to you, okay? And that's why Crom with these bonds, again, benefits from it. You don't want to be player phasing with Crom, but you do kind of want to player phase with units with high speed, okay? That's why you have life and death units. That's why you have units with high speed. You want to initiate with them. You want a brave bow. You want these units to have high speed, and they want a player phase. Okay, no one's going to say that Brave Lyn is an enemy phase unit because that's just wasting her speed. It's not as good. She doesn't have the defensive stats to be going in there. Neither does Mass Marth and Lucina. So yeah, you mean it helps. It does. Those +4 defense resistance, it helps. But again, it's wasted potential where you could be player facing, and that's why I think this refinement is, in my opinion, but backed up with some evidence, that Crom is going to utilize these better, and you guys will see probably in a few months. Okay, so. Let's continue. That's kind of my impression of the bond refinement as a whole, okay? Between Mass Marth, Crom, and Lucina. I just kind of gave you an analysis on what I think on all of them, okay? He procs, so I'm going to read just a little bit of the questions. He's going to proc Ignis regardless of whether he gets doubled or not. Whether he gets doubled doesn't actually matter, though. He's going to avoid doubles, and that's what's important. His speed is now officially high enough with the bond support and the ally support that he just avoids doubles, and that helps him, okay? The difference between him and Lucina and Mass Marth is that Lucina and Mass Marth, likely, they don't have to use quick riposte to double back, and therefore you can open up the slots a little bit better. Maybe they can run something like attack seal. Maybe they can run close defense to match Chrom's defensive prowess. But see, what you're doing is just you're mixing and matching seals and kind of just doing the same thing, really. They're just kind of doing like pretty much the same thing, right? So Chrom's still going to have higher attack. Chrom's still going to have higher defense. Like all you're doing is just mixing and matching stuff. It's not really accomplishing much in that sense. You can open up probably some other options as well as new seals come out, and that's where I think it's going to come. Mediking asked, my Chrom minus speed. My Chrom is minus HP actually. So you could even be even tankier than this if I wanted him to be. Okay, so that's my impression on those. Let's continue on. I hope I've convinced some of you to understand why I think Chrom is benefited the most from these bond refinements. I mean, it's just, it blows my mind how super strong he's going to be now. He could literally solo maps now. With Falchion healing, Quick Repose, Guard 3, in Arena Assault, you guys are going to see me literally throw in Chrom by himself against Effie, Zelgius, Amelia, and Hector, and solo it. I'm not even kidding, because I think he's totally capable of doing that now. He literally is that powerful now, okay? Zelgius cannot Black Luna him. Ira cannot Ragnall Astra him. We can kite those armors because if we break up the armor march, boom, Ignis, boom, they're dead. Blue Effie doesn't matter. We have like 50 defense. He's not gonna, okay, sorry. He's not gonna, okay, I made a mistake. He's not gonna solo it, okay? I'm gonna bring in female Robin to give the bond buff. Sorry, we bring in a bond buddy, okay? It says it's literally like Awakening, okay? It's like Awakening. You basically pair him up with a pair-up bot, and then he solos, okay? Awakening, okay? I just got reminded by Awakening where you literally had one unit you were controlling, right? You just had that pair-up bot. So that's what I mean by solo. You just have that pair-up bot just to stand beside him to give him buffs, and that's really much what it is. But yeah, he can basically solo with a pair-up buddy. That's what I'm trying to imply. Biased analysis. No, I love Chrom, but I also like Lucina and Masmarth. I like them all, and I'm trying to give objective evidence here on why I think why one thing works and why one doesn't. Okay, so Raven. What I'm going to start with here is, if you send me a double L&D Raven, I am literally just gonna reject your unit review. You send me LND 6, I'm sending you to the door, and I'm not even gonna talk about your unit because you have no idea what you're doing if you're gonna double LND here, okay? Like, what do you think you're doing with double LND? I do not want to see the 6 defense Raven in like 9 resistance or something, okay? Don't do LND 6. Don't do it. Okay, so what I'm going to recommend with Raven is Life and Death and Fury, guys. Life and Death and Fury. Life and Death and Fury, guys, okay? And the reason I'm going to say this is if you run him with Fury, you're actually only losing out on 2 defense and 2 resistance. So his bulk isn't greatly affected, but you gain 8 attack and 8 speed. Only the difference is basically between 2 attack and 2 speed, and you're going to be reaching such high attack and such high speed thresholds, but not absolutely murdering his bulk. And by the way, Raven has some decent bulk because of his HP. So yeah, I think if you're going to be running double L&D, you're kind of making a big mistake, because if he takes a hit, he's probably dead to a lot of things. I believe his effective bulk with double L&D ends up being like 56 or 57 physical bulk, and like it's in the 50s. Like it's in the 50s, right? And a lot of units are in the 50s with attack stats, right? Like I just look over here with Marth, 51, right? And then you go over here, Alm has 55, Marth has 50, right? A lot of units are in the 50s when it comes to attack stats. And these are red, so they actually kill him for sure. But if you ran a Fury, you're actually not affecting his bulk this drastically, and you're raising him up to about the 60s in sort of bulk. So be careful how you use Raven, and please don't murder his defensive stats. He's going to have such great offensive stats anyways, so run him with Fury Desperation if you want him to really capitalize on this extra offensive stats that he gets. In terms of the C slot, again, it's pretty much up to you. Threatens work. He can be in the front line as long as you're running Fury. He should be able to take some hits. Speed seals could probably work as well. Like basically what this has here is a fine build, actually. This is fine here. Good thing he's using like a 3 charge seal as well. So like I said, this is a hype, definitely strong, very, very strong refinement, but you could misuse this. And if you misuse it and you send me a double L&D Raven, I am totally deleting you right away. That double L&D is bad, period. Glass cannon. Fury, Desperation, Threat and Defense, Speed Seal, Luna. This is actually a fine build. You could run with this. You send me double L&D Raven, I'm coming after you. Okay, next up we have Felicia. This refinement is insanely good. I'm quite happy with this as well. I'm glad that they gave all these units these amazing refinements. Felicia, best waifu. Actually, in my conquest file, I ended up marrying Felicia myself. So I'm actually I really like Felicia myself, and I probably will build her up at some point. The reason I didn't marry Niles in Conquest is because you have two male you have two male S support, and you lose out on like 2 kids, and it feels bad, man. So I ended up just choosing Felicia as like the number 2 choice, unfortunately. So if I could marry Niles and still get what's her name? Noir, I think. Noir and and Corn's kid, Kana or something. Then I would have just married Niles in Conquest, but unfortunately, Nina, right? I don't even. Nina's not anything compared to Niles, anyways. But you know what I mean. So, anyways, let's talk about the actual refinement. Felicia is a great character. I'm glad she got some love. This is kind of something I predicted as well. I definitely think this targeting the attack or resistance stat is something she desperately needed this, and this is very apparent with her really low attack stat. But now, since the only real counters to Felicia are going to be those units with mixed bulk, those kind of like, it doesn't even have to be a range unit, which is actually super cool, but mixed bulk units are basically going to have, that's where Felicia's going to have a little bit of trouble. So if you guys are sleeping on Omega Odin, don't be sleeping on Omega Odin, because mixed bulk tanks are coming after Felicia, and they are totally going to lose because it's Odin. Now, the weapon itself is actually super powerful, and 14 attack is super strong. I'm glad she ends up having this. She definitely needs every single attack stat she can get. And another real cool thing is that it's actually like an anti-magic dagger as well, giving her extra cooldown charge when she's fighting mages, and that's super powerful for her because most of her damage actually comes from combat with mages. She wants to be baiting out mages because of her extremely high resistance, good speed stat, and yeah, so to be able to charge your special faster is exceptional. Between Iceberg and Glacies, I'm not exactly sure which one will work out better. I don't know if this extra cooldown is on when she attacks or when they attack you. I don't know if it's a steady breath kind of effect where it's working on both attacks. So I guess it doesn't, I don't know at this time, but Iceberg and Glacies, it doesn't matter. It's basically accomplishing what I'm trying to state, which is getting that cooldown faster to be able to, blow them up. Fate says it always procs. Okay, so thank you for confirming that, Fate. I haven't tested it, so I wouldn't know. But Glacies, right? If it's Glacies, there you go. If you're gonna get Glacies on every single round of combat, that's insane, right? 4 charge special Glacies. You hit, they hit you. It's ready. Boom! You just blew them up with a Glacies that did probably over 30 damage. Plus you're debuffing stats. Plus you're targeting a lower defense and resist. Felicia, yeah. Forget power creep. This is like reverse power creep. We're making the old units shine, right? So. Amazing. Alright, so here we go. Honoka. I don't know what this character is actually. I've been playing this game since day one, I still haven't got Honoka, so apparently she's like a smoker in this game or something. The effect here is basically guidance for both infantry and flying units, and this is very unique. Very, very unique, because no one really has like a guidance effect for flyers. You do have flyer formation, but that's the unit itself flying to another flying unit. You don't have the reverse effect where units come to you, which is like the reverse guidance, right? So that's super strong. Remember, it's infantry and allied units come to you, right? And as long as those units are kind of like within range, it's kind of like a bond effect again, but with more lenience because it can be within 2 spaces. And Honoka kind of gets her own little like mobility niche here, which is really strong because the thing that makes flying teams super powerful is mobility. So Honoka getting something like this makes her stand out from Cordelia, and I'm glad she got this. I'm very happy for that. I think she definitely deserved it. There was no real niche I could give Honoka before this buff came out. She seemed like she could do like some sort of offensive tanky role or something. I don't know really. There wasn't really a niche you could place her in, because if you wanted like an offensive tanky flyer, you had Tano, right? And if you wanted like an all-out offensive flyer, then you had Cordelia. So she kind of was hovering in the middle without a real niche, but now she has that kind of mobility support role that makes her really shine from the rest of the flyers here. So I'm very happy for this, and Honoka lovers are going to love it as well. I think you can do some really amazing plays with this. This immersion is off the charts. Intelligence systems inflicts defense -6 on foes excluding dragons. Okay, for those of you that don't know, if you've played like Fire Emblem 6, you'll know that Zephiel's like obsessed with dragons ruling the world and such. He's like a dragon's best friend. So yeah, what you're seeing here is him just not, you know, he doesn't want to mess with the dragon brothers. You know, he's like, oh, you're a dragon bro? Okay, I'm not gonna threaten you. So he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So that's not the effect of his weapon though. The thing that's actually interesting about his weapon is the fact that if you refine it, you get distant defense on here. So for those of you that might have put distant counter on Zephiel, you're not going to be in a state of regret. But he now officially becomes the tankiest red armor from ranged attacks. So I think he's actually like almost unkillable from ranged units. I think there's no way to one-shot him if he's running distant counter, distant defense upgrade, and distant defense seal. He ends up with like plus 12 defenses now, and he retaliates for super strong. Like even if you don't do that, you can run triple distant defense here. Like distant defense on A, distant defense on seal, distant defense on his weapon. You get like 18 bulk, and you can literally just Omega Lull as units try to kill you through Worry Fighter, which is almost impossible. Micaiah. Yeah, it seems like Micaiah or like a Blar Blade fully buffed would be required here to kill him. And even then, I'm like hesitant because he has so much HP, and he's going to have so much resistance. So his effective bulk with triple distant defense is like super high. He's at like 40 plus 2 merges or something. I can't even, it probably is in the hundreds in terms of bulk, right? So yeah, you can't double him through Worry Fighter. If you gave him Ward Armors as well, if he was within Ward Armor range, it's just, he's so tanky. There's no red armor that matches this sort of tankiness. I guess Micaiah and maybe Summer Corrin or something fully buffed might be able still to one-shot him, but even then I'm not too sure. Because my fully buffed Summer Corrin ends up with like maybe 78 attack or so before weapon triangle. So again, that's pretty close. It's gonna be a pretty close situation. So Sheeta finally went from like probably the most objective worst red flyer in the game to being probably one of the best now. But it's not in sort of like a stats kind of role, and it's not really in a kind of like power creep way either. She now just officially has a niche, and that niche is really unique. I predicted this double effectiveness, but I never predicted a flashing blade effect upgraded on the refinement. That is crazy cool. She can use it, that's for sure. She has really high speed. Her attack is still total junk though, which I know most of you already knew this, and she's not going to be the greatest user of a Wing Sword's effectiveness, unfortunately. Like 44 attack, right? Even with 16 attack weapon, like this is still not going to be super great with effectiveness. You're just going to be reaching like 60, some 70 damage on both, which I mean, if anything's like a ranged unit, you're probably going to kill them. If you have weapon triangle, you're probably going to kill them, like green, right? So maybe you'll be killing some Hectors, you'll be killing some Amelias, you'll probably be killing heck, I don't know. Yeah, you'll be killing some green armors, okay? Maybe Winter Crom, maybe Winter Lisa. If they have Worry Fighter, though, I don't actually think you'd kill them. That's probably up for debate. But the interesting part here is definitely the fact that she's going to be proccing Flashing Blade. And in that case, you want to use Iceberg, because then you'll attack, and she's going to have more speed than all the armors, I'll give you that much. So you probably don't even need a plus speed refinement on her. You probably could get away with plus attack to secure those kills. Or even like plus defense if you want to be fighting those armors, which you might actually need, right? So I don't think you necessarily need a plus speed refinement here, guys. If you want to use her in her niche, then you should probably give her like a plus defense, plus attack, or possibly plus defense refinement. Now, if you wanted to expand that role into different things, then distant counter with like plus res gives you some options, plus speed with distant counter, for instance, doing more than just countering armors and cavalry. You have some options here, so definitely consider all those options. But she's going to still need team support if you really expect to kill things. She's definitely not going to be that solo kind of unit. This is definitely not my Crom, okay? This is not my Crom. But an iceberg with wing sword giving that effectiveness, that's where things shine a little bit. But I don't see her killing more than maybe 1 or 2 units. Another interesting thing here to note is once you're past the first phase of combat, you're gonna be in a little bit of trouble, because even through desperation, I don't know if you could probably kill like blues or reds. It might be really close without sort of team support. Like I said, right? Like Zelgius can reach up to 40 defense easily. Hector, the new Hector, reaches 40. He starts at 40, right? Even through your really high attack, like you're still not gonna be one-shotting things as easily. So, and he comes with Warrior Fighter and huge HP. And we're not even talking about blue armors, which you probably can't even kill. So yeah, I mean, needs team support. Really cool though, and she'll be able to do her job much better than before, which is what she definitely failed at. Trust me, I know. I brought in my Sheeta, and I literally was sweating Monka S-ing so bad trying to kill things with her Armor Slayer before. Anyways, she needed it. She got her buff, and I'm clear a lot of people are really happy with that.